Jordan Kyrou turned a March road game into a receipt. Welcome back to the Blue 100. I'm documenting one game per player till I reach 100. Today's Blue 2, Jordan Kyrou. And the game is March 15th, 2025, St. Louis at Minnesota. The Blues win 5-1. Kyrou scores 3 times. It's his 5th career hat trick. His first hat trick of the season, and it moves him to 27 goals for the season. The big idea is simple. This is what it looks like when talent stops asking permission. Kyrou can be a strange player to talk about because the talent, so obvious, he skates like he found the cheat code. He can look dangerous from a dead stop. He can make defenders seem late before they've even done anything wrong. But that kind of skill creates impatience. Every missed chance feels bigger. Every quiet shift feels louder. Every turnover becomes, buddy, you're too good for that. It's not always fair, but it's real. Speed makes people greedy. And in this game, Kyrou doesn't have to explain everything. He just scores. 3 different goals, 3 different game states. 1 clean answer. The Blues come into this game in the ugly, exciting part of March, where every night feels like a math problem. They're not safely in the playoffs. They're not dead either. They're right in the middle of the Western Conference wildcard mess, where 1 win can change the mood, and 1 loss makes everybody start checking tiebreakers. The Blues lost 2 straight. Jim Montgomery didn't like the desperation level in the previous loss to Pittsburgh. That matters because this game becomes the first step in the franchise record 12-game winning streak that rewrites the end of the season. Not win 7 in a row. Not the part where anyone notices. It's the first one. The ignition. Nobody was talking about it. Minnesota's situation is different. The Wild are ahead of St. Louis in the standings, but they're wobbly. Kirill Kaprizov is out. Joel Eriksson Ek is out. Jonas Brodin's out. That's not garnish. That's real hockey mass missing from the lineup. But Minnesota is trying to win with its jaw clenched. St. Louis has the cleaner night, the calmer night. The night with the guy who can turn a rebound, a wraparound, and an empty netter into a full statement. Jordan Kyrou was born in Toronto. Right shot. Drafted by the Blues in the 2nd round, 35th overall in 2016. After coming through Sarnia in the OHL. The junior numbers aren't subtle. In 2017-18, he put up 109 points for Sarnia. 39 goals, 70 assists. Video game numbers. Except it happened in actual buildings with actual defensemen having actual bad nights. He reaches the Blues organization right around the edge of the Cup era. He plays 16 NHL games in 2018-19. But he's not one of the central characters of the Stanley Cup run. He's more like a glimpse of what comes next. Then he becomes next. By 2021-22, he's a 75-point player. In 22-23, he scores 37 goals. 23-24, he scores 31. By this game, in 2024-25, he's building another 30-goal season. That's the arc. Prospect, weapon, contract, pressure, core player. That last part is where this game sits. It's not a kid surprising the league. It's not a prospect announcing himself. It's not, hey, maybe the Blues have something here. No. This is a paid, known, scouted game, playing top 6 forward. Walking into a building where St. Louis badly needs points and saying, hey, I'll be their problem. The Blues strike early. First period, 4:17. Cam Fowler gets a puck towards traffic, and Braden Shen finishes it on the backhand. 1-0. That gives the road team exactly what it wants in March. The right to make the home team chase. Minnesota pushes back. They hit. They get bodies involved. They try to make it uncomfortable, but St. Louis leaves the first with the lead. Second period, 10:51. Jake Neighbors makes it 2-0. Robert Thomas and Pavel Buchnevich get the assists. And now, the Blues are starting to look more like the composed team. Not prettier, not necessarily, just more organized around the moments that actually matter. Then Kyrou starts his scoring. 12:22 of the second. The puck comes loose around Gustafsson. Kyrou finds the rebound. It's 3-0. That's his 25th goal of the season. 30's the glamour number, sure, but 25 says you're not just hot, you're stacking seasons. You're a scorer again. Then Minnesota gets one right back. 25 seconds later, Jake Middleton scores unassisted. Hofer goes behind the net. The clearing attempt gets delayed. Middleton gets the puck. Suddenly it's 3-1. That could have been a door opening for Minnesota. That could have been the moment that St. Louis started protecting instead of really playing. But they don't. The third period hangs there for a while. Minnesota needs the next one. St. Louis needs to kill the idea that the next one's available. Kyrou kills it. 11:30 of the third. He takes the puck around the net and wraps it past Gustafsson. 3-1 still a hockey game. 4-1, that's paperwork. Then Minnesota empties the net because there's nothing else to do. Kyrou has already missed wide twice late. So the hat trick is circling the building like it's looking for somewhere to land. At 17:40 it lands. Thomas and Buchnevich help set it up. Kyrou scores into the empty net. 5-1, hat trick, done. So it's not a weird 8-7 game where nobody plays defense and a scorer just starts grabbing loose candy off the floor. This is a March road game against a team above St. Louis in the standings. The Blues allow 18 shots. Fowler, Thomas, and Buchnevich each finish with 2 assists. Schenn gives them a captain's goal and an assist. Hofer gives them enough. Kyrou gives it the headline. The post-game coverage knew the key moment right away. Kyrou's wraparound was the dagger. That's the goal that turned the game from Minnesota might still make this annoying into everybody start getting your hats together. Afterward, Kyrou framed it like playoff hockey. Minnesota was right above them in the standings, and the Blues are trying to keep the post-break work ethic going. That's the right quote for this game, because it doesn't treat the hat trick like a party trick. It treats it like part of the climb. Montgomery's quote was more blunt. After the Pittsburgh loss, he didn't think the Blues had enough desperation. Against Minnesota, he thought it was on the uptick. That's coach language, but it lands here, because this team is about to turn desperation into a streak. Minnesota's side was less cheerful, obviously. John Hines talked about details. The Wild are still competing, still working, still in the playoff mix. But this is the kind of game where the mistakes show up in neon colors. Schenn had the best larger context quote. Everyone was scoreboard watching. Everyone was climbing. Everyone's in a dogfight, and that's what gives this game its shape. Kyrou gets the box score glory, but this wasn't a random hat trick in a random week. This was a playoff race game that mattered. For St. Louis, this is where the road starts to tilt. They don't know it yet, but the Minnesota win becomes the first victory in a 12-game winning streak, the longest in franchise history. They finish 44-30-8 with 96 points and take the Wild second card spot in the West. That sounds clean now. Wasn't clean while it was happening. This was a team trying to pull itself out of the middle in real time. For a few weeks it did. It became one of the hottest teams in the league at exactly the right time when hot starts deciding who gets in. Then they draw Winnipeg. President's Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuck, a real opponent, real test. The Blues push that series to 7 games and then lose one of those games that makes a season feels like it got buried alive. We don't need to live in that ending today. Today's the spark before the fire. Kyrou finishes the 24-25 regular season with 36 goals, 70 points. That's his third season over 30 goals in 4 years, and his 4th straight season with over 25. In the last 40 years of Blues history, the list of players with 4 straight 25-goal seasons is not a casual list. Brett Hull, Vladimir Tarasenko, Jordan Kyrou. Now relax. That doesn't mean Kyrou's Hull or Tarasenko, but it means something because the Blues have a lot of good players, a lot of beloved players, a lot of hardworking, useful fan favorites. Consistent goal scoring is a different room. Kyrou's that room. Maybe not at the head table, fine, but he's in the room. He has a chair, someone handed him a little plate with shrimp on it, that's real. Because he's still active, the career's not sealed. That's part of what makes this episode interesting. Blue 2 isn't about rescuing a forgotten guy from the margins. It's about putting a current core player into the archive while he's still active, still complicated, still fast, dangerous, and capable of turning a tight March game into his own personal receipt. Next time, on the Warrior side, we jump to Warrior 27, Jimmy Butler. February 28, 2025. That one's hilarious because it's supposed to be Jimmy Butler. Then Steph Curry walks into Orlando and scores 56 points. Like he's trying to ruin my assignment. So yeah, Next time Jimmy Butler joins the Warriors, Steph detonates the building, and we figure out how a player can matter deeply in a game that somebody else hijacks completely. Jordan Kyrou didn't just score 3 goals in Minnesota. He gave the Blues the win they needed. He gave the streak its first push. And he gave this project one of the cleanest possible early entries. Speed becomes pressure. Pressure becomes separation. Separation becomes a hat trick. That's Blue 2, Jordan Kyrou, March 15th, 2025. Blues 5, Wild 1. Stay kind and keep moving. I'll see you next time.